Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into the weeds of power, survival, advancement, but looking at it through a very specific historical lens.
Yeah, we're drawing from some pretty intense sources, Renaissance court life, Machiavellian thought, stuff like that. And the basic idea, it's tough for most people to swallow.
How so?
Because it argues success isn't really about being the best or the most honest. It's about cold, hard calculation. A whole different way of looking at the world.
Okay, calculation. So what gets in the way of that? What's the biggest hurdle in this kind of calculated world?
Easy one, according to these thinkers of emotions. Your own feelings. They saw an emotional response as the number one barrier to gaining and holding power.
Why? Because they make you irrational.
Exactly. Emotions cloud reason. That's the phrase they used. Anger, love, even just getting excited. If you let that drive your choices, you lose control. You lose precision. You can't just, switch them off, but you have to make damn sure they aren't calling the shots.
Got it. So our mission today really is to explore this mindset, like playing a long game of emotional poker, right? Focusing on these counterintuitive rules for how you're seen and how you manage.
Yeah.
Well, manage yourself. Okay, let's start with a big one. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Feels like classic advice, but why is being too good at your job actually dangerous?
Because it makes the person above you nervous, insecure. Simple as that. If you shine too bright, you make them feel less impressive, maybe even threatened.
It's not about being incompetent, then.
No, not at all. It's about making sure they feel comfortably superior. That's the key phrase. Keep them feeling secure in their position, even if you're doing the heavy lifting.
And there's a pretty grim story about someone who failed this, right? Astor Manfredi.
Oh, yeah, Manfredi. Young guy, naturally talented, charismatic, just, good. And that was his undoing.
How?
He was serving Caesar Borgia. Now, Borgia was notoriously vain, incredibly insecure. Manfredi just existing, being naturally gifted, made Borgia look worse by comparison.
Just by standing next to him.
Pretty much. His natural superiority was, well, the sources say fatal. You have to understand the psychology. Power shapes reality for these people. If your mere presence makes the master question their own brilliance, you become a threat. Borgia couldn't handle it. He had Manfredi killed. Trumped up charges, of course.
Wow. So the strategy isn't to hide your talent completely, but maybe redirect the spotlight. Like in an office today, maybe you pitch an idea, but let the boss present it as their vision.
Exactly. Deflection. Galileo was brilliant at this. He desperately needed patronage from Cosimo VI and the Medici.
Okay.
So when he discovered 4 moons orbiting Jupiter, a massive discovery, what did he do? He didn't just announce it. He named them the Medicean stars.
Ah, clever.
He even commissioned an emblem. Jupiter, the god, which was Medici's symbol, with these 4 new stars circling him. He directly tied his scientific breakthrough to Cosimo's glory, made the prince look brilliant, cosmically important even.
And it worked.
Like a charm. Secured patronage, position. The coup of a lifetime, as one account puts it.
That's some next-level strategic branding. Okay, so Law 1 is about managing how you're seen. Law 4 shifts to how you're heard. Always say less than necessary.
This ties right back into mastering emotions. The more you talk, the more ordinary you seem, and the less in control you appear.
Yeah.
Powerful figures, they understand that silence can be a weapon.
How so? Doesn't just make things awkward.
It does, but that's the point. People hate silence. They rush to fill it. If you stay quiet, or you give really vague, short answers, like a sphinx,
Yeah.
others get uncomfortable. They start talking nervously, trying to figure you out, trying to get a reaction. And in the process, they reveal things, their thoughts, their weaknesses, valuable intel. You say little, learn a lot, they talk a lot, feel exposed.
Control through quiet. Okay, this idea of careful calculation definitely extends to relationships. Which brings us to Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. That just sounds bleak.
It is bleak, but it's consistent in these sources. Friends, they argue, are dangerous.
Why friends? It seems counterintuitive.
Envy. Friends are easily stirred up by envy because they're close enough to see your successes, maybe compare themselves. Plus, you tend to let your guard down with friends, right? You share things.
Sure.
That gives them the inside knowledge they need if envy turns to betrayal.
Right. The story of Emperor Michael and Basilius comes to mind. Michael really loved the guy, treated him like a brother.
Yep, against everyone's advice. He elevated Basilius, brought him into the inner circle. And what happened? Basilius got a taste of court lice, the power, the wealth, and got greedy.
So he turned.
Turned completely.
Yeah.
Convinced Michael to kill his own uncle, who was a key advisor. Then, later, after Michael gave him command of the army, Basilius had Michael himself murdered took the throne, the lesson they draw is brutal. Intimacy makes you vulnerable in the power game.
Okay, so friends are risky because of envy and access. But why are enemies supposedly more useful? How does that work?
The logic is that a former enemy, someone you bring over to your side, has more to prove. They're often more loyal because they need to demonstrate their new allegiance, erase the past conflict.
Interesting. Is there an example of that?
Emperor Sung of China, masterclass. He defeated a rival king, Qian Shu. Could have killed him easily. Instead, he spared him. But then he did something amazing.
Boy.
He showed Qian Shu all the evidence he had of Qian Shu's ongoing conspiracies against him. Basically said, I know you were plotting, I know the risk I'm taking, but I'm showing you mercy anyway.
Wow. That's a power move.
Total power move. It wasn't just mercy, it was calculated generosity. It completely won Qian Shu over. He became incredibly loyal because he owed Sung his life and needed to rebuild his reputation. Sung turned an enemy into a reliable asset through strategy, not just force.
That's strategically brilliant. Okay, sticking with relationships and getting what you need. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Forget favors owed.
Forget him. According to this view, gratitude feels like a burden to most people. It's an obligation. Revenge, though, that feels like a pleasure.
Ouch.
Yeah. So appealing to justice or reminding someone of a past favor you did them usually falls flat. They don't want to feel indebted. If you need help, you figure out what's in it for them. How does helping you benefit them? Then you focus entirely on that.
Can you give us a really stark example of this? Just pure self-interest.
There's a simple fable they used. A peasant decides to cut down an old apple tree because it's not bearing fruit anymore. Sparrows and grasshoppers live in it, and they plead with him, don't destroy our home. Show mercy.
Does he listen?
No. Ignores them completely. He starts chopping, but then his axe hits a hollow part of the trunk, and inside, a hive full of honey. Suddenly, the tree has value to him. He stops chopping immediately. The moral is blunt. Self-interest alone moves some men. Find the honey.
Find the honey. Got it. Okay, let's shift to actually doing things. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Why is arguing seen as a bad strategy, even if you win the debate?
Because it's a Pyrrhic victory. You might win the point in the moment, but you create resentment. You damage the other person's ego by proving them wrong publicly.
And that lasts longer?
Much longer. And it's stronger than any temporary agreement you forced on them. You've basically made an enemy or deepened an existing animosity. The advice is clear. Demonstrate. Do not explicate. Show, don't tell.
Right. The Michelangelo story with the David statue is perfect here, isn't it?
Absolutely. Masterful. So Michelangelo finishes the David, and the patron, this guy Soderini, comes to inspect it. Soderini, probably wanting to feel important, declares the nose is too big.
Did Michelangelo argue? He's Michelangelo.
Nope. Not a word of argument.
Yeah.
He just climbs up the scaffold, grabs his chisel and a bit of marble dust he hid in his hand. He pretends to tap away at the nose. Doesn't actually touch it, but lets the dust fall down. Seriously. After a minute, he steps back, looks at Soderini, and Soderini, overjoyed, convinced he had improved the masterpiece. Michelangelo achieved his goalkeeping, the statue as intended, while letting the patron save face and feel important. Pure demonstration, zero explication.
That's brilliant. Managing perception through action, or even the appearance of action. Okay, so to make those actions land effectively, you need Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Keep people guessing.
Exactly. Keep them off balance and in the dark. If people know your real goal, they can prepare, they can block you, counter you. So you need misdirection.
Like red herrings.
Red herrings, decoys, smoke screens, even pretending to want the opposite of your true goal. That's often the most effective way.
Bismarck seems like the prime example here. Prussia, 1850s, wanting war, but not strong enough yet.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Bismarck hated the idea of peace with Austria at that moment, but Prussia wasn't ready militarily. He needed power first, time to build the army. So what did he do?
What?
He gave a major public speech, passionately arguing for peace, praising the king's desire to avoid conflict.
Even though he wanted war.
Absolutely. The king was thrilled, thought Bismarck was perfectly aligned with his cautious policy. So he made Bismarck a cabinet minister, gave him real power.
And from that position,
protected by his man of peace reputation, Bismarck quietly strengthened the military, threw everyone off the scent. Then, years later, when Prussia was ready, he engineered the very war he'd wanted all along. His long-term intention was perfectly hidden behind a facade of the opposite desire.
Incredible long game. Okay, final point. How do you wrap all these somewhat ruthless strategies together? Law 38, think as you like, but behave like others. Why hide your true thoughts?
Because being openly unconventional, flaunting ideas that challenge the norm, it makes people uncomfortable. It makes them feel inferior or old-fashioned or just plain stupid.
And they react badly.
They punish you for it. It's seen as arrogance. You become an easy target. So the advice is, think whatever radical thoughts you want, but outwardly. Blend in and nurture the common touch. Don't make waves unnecessarily.
Tommaso Campanella, the philosopher, he faced serious persecution for his ideas, right? How did he navigate this?
He was incredibly clever. He was a radical thinker, constantly in trouble with the church. So he wrote a book called Atheism Conquered, a defense of Catholicism, seemingly.
Seemingly.
Yeah, here's the genius part. He structured his defense using the exact same logical methods, the same philosophical arguments that his atheist and Machiavellian critics used.
Whoa.
So on the surface, it looked like total conformity. See, I'm defending the faith. But to those in the know, his sympathizers, they could read between the lines. They saw him using the enemy's tools, subtly signaling his real unconventional beliefs. He protected himself and communicated with his allies simultaneously, an outward display of conformity.
That's layering upon layering. So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you listening right now? This deep dive into historical power play seems to hammer home calculated appearances, keeping emotions locked down, acting indirectly.
Yeah, and constantly reading between the lines of what people say and do. Understanding the psychological games being played beneath the surface. Power, as these sources see it, is almost entirely about social dynamics.
Which means you have to be really careful who you hang around with.
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly to our final, maybe most provocative thought for today. It comes from Law 42, the idea of infection.
Infection, what does that mean?
It means the greatest danger often isn't a direct attack, but association. Specifically, associating with the incurably unhappy and unstable. You need to recognize the fortunate, people with good energy, and actively avoid those who share your defects.
Why are unhappy people seen as so dangerous?
Because moods, emotions, ways of thinking, they're contagious. Humans are incredibly susceptible to the people around them. Those who are chronically negative, unstable, miserable, their intense energy is infectious.
So it's not just annoying, it actually drags you down.
It absolutely drags you down. It's a psychological drain. You absorb their negativity, maybe even start internalizing their flaws or their victim mentality. You waste precious time and energy just trying to counteract their influence or fix them, which you usually can't.
So the ultimate piece of wisdom from all this potentially ruthless advice isn't actually about manipulating others, but protecting yourself.
In a way, yes. It's profound self-preservation. Securing your own good fortune, your own mental and emotional stability, often starts with aggressively curating who you allow into your immediate circle. Cutting out the chronically negative isn't cruel in this view. It's essential psychological hygiene, food for thought.